Welcome back to the 700 Club. Firefighters are working 24-hour shifts to gain control over those massive wildfires sweeping across Northern California. It's destroyed hundreds of homes and forced tens of thousands of people to evacuate. Those fires across the state have claimed at least 6 lives, including 2 firefighters and a family. Amber Strong has a story.
The images from the massive blaze near Redding, California, terrifying. With more than 800 homes and structures destroyed.
I've never seen it like this before. It's just, here we go again. Among
the latest victims, Melody Bledsoe and her 2 great-grandchildren. The 70-year-old reportedly covered the children with a wet blanket in a last attempt to protect them from the flames. About 7 people are missing. Survivors are saying they're just thankful to have made it out alive.
We lost stuff. Well, it's not so much, we still have our health, and other people here don't.
Across California, firefighters are battling 17 wildfires in 100-degree temperatures. But out of the ashes, the best of humanity, like these firefighters who ended their shift and bought toys for children who'd lost everything.
Kids started coming back to their homes, and it was all burnt, and so we gave them some stickers, but we didn't have any like teddy bears and stuff.
Sunday, Redding officials said they're seeing progress, with firefighters getting the upper hand, saying they're switching from defense to offense in battling to extinguish the flames. Meanwhile, President Trump declared an emergency over the weekend, providing FEMA assistance to the victims of the fire. Amber Strong, CBN News.
Trump is threatening to shut down the government if Congress won't pay for a border wall. He took to Twitter Sunday showing frustration over everything from the Mueller investigation to his stalled immigration policies. The tweet reads in part, "I would be willing to shut down the government if the Democrats do not give us the votes for border security, which includes the wall." The House failed to pass 2 immigration bills last month. Some Republican leaders called talk of a shutdown before the midterm elections a bad idea. Congress has until September 30th to pass a budget for the next fiscal year. Well, Friday's news that the economy grew at a fast 4.1% in the second quarter has Republicans trying to keep up that momentum. They see another round of tax cuts as one way to stimulate more growth. And Republicans believe getting support from just a few Democrats could help to pass the legislation sooner rather than later. CBN's White House correspondent Ben Kennedy explains one way they're trying to get the help from the other side.
Not one Democrat voted for tax reform the first time around. Republicans plan to use this as either a way to drum up support across party lines or as ammo against Democrats in the upcoming midterms.
We're here to talk to you about making permanent this tax relief.
And it's clear Tax Cut 2.0 will be priority #1 for House Ways and Means Chair Kevin Brady, who plans to focus on helping the middle class and small business.
1, so they can continue to grow. 2, so we can add 1.5 million new jobs.
The overall goal combines making the individual tax cut permanent while growing the incentive for savings.
If you got a good thing, keep it rolling along.
And economist Stephen Moore believes that momentum will lead to more money in people's pockets. Moore served as one of the top advisors to President Trump during the campaign. The key to getting this out of the gate is Democrats. And with the midterm election just around the corner, it could help sway a couple votes.
What about some of those Democrats who are up for re-election in the Senate? People like Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota, or the senator in West Virginia, or Donnelly in Indiana. They are facing tough races. Do they want to vote against a tax cut, a month or 2 before the elections?
Do you feel like their constituents are telling them to get on board?
I think, well, those are states where Trump is very popular and the tax cuts are very popular. So, yeah, I'm sure that those 3 senators in particular, including, Manchin of West Virginia, are hearing from their constituents saying, this is working. Let's make it permanent.
We can protect them against a future Washington trying to steal back those hard-earned dollars.
Brady wants to give voters assurance that the tax relief they have now will continue years down the road.
The time of submittal, what would you think that would be, Kevin?
So we anticipate the House voting on this in September.
Do you see it happening possibly in September?
I hope so. I think there's no question a tax bill that would make the tax cuts permanent would pass the House by a fairly good margin. The question is, of course, the Senate.
In the Senate, Republicans only have a razor-thin majority, so they need a united front, unless they can tempt a Democrat to come to their ranks. Ben Kennedy, CBN News, Washington.
Thanks, Ben. Pat, do you have a prediction? Do you think Congress will be able to pass another tax reform bill?
You're going to have to. Can you imagine a Democrat senator in a state where Trump won overwhelmingly, voting against the tax relief for the people? Can you imagine anybody running on a program of higher taxes in this economy? Not in your life. And if they do, they'll be gone. I mean, I think Joe Manchin is a terrific guy, by the way, and I just wish he'd switched to being a Republican because he's under pressure. You know, the one guy over in West Virginia, the coach who owns the Greenbrier, ran as a Democrat, then he switched to Republican. And I think that state is trending more and more toward Republican. And Manchin would be, well, certainly to vote for this. I think Heidi Heitkamp's the same way, Donnelly in Indiana, others. I mean, what's to lose? I mean, what's to gain by voting for higher taxes? Oh, I mean, in a crucial election year, not a chance. So will it go through? I think so. And I think the Republicans will hold steady on this one. And Chairman Brady is a terrific guy. He's chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, and he wants to do something for the American people. Really wonderful. Now we're going to switch to a guy who's become public enemy #1, John.
Pat, turning overseas, Turkey's president says he won't release an American pastor even in the face of economic sanctions. President Trump threatened large sanctions against the NATO ally if it doesn't free Pastor Andrew Brunson. President Erdogan delivered a strong response, telling Turkish media, quote, "We will not step back." Last week, Turkish authorities transferred Brunson from jail to house arrest while his trial continues. He's facing a possible 35-year sentence on espionage-related charges. The Trump administration says he's innocent. Meanwhile, U.S. pastors are warning their churches not to travel to Turkey. In a statement to NPR, Reverend Johnny Moore said, "If Turkey isn't safe for Brunson, it isn't safe for us." Well, the growth of Muslim immigration is driving a wedge in the European Union. The EU wants to punish nations who refuse to take Muslim refugees. But as Dale Hurd reports from Stockholm, those who are letting them in appear to be paying a stiff price.
800 Africans stormed the border wall around a Spanish enclave in northern Africa last week. The migrants threw Molotov cocktails and feces at border guards and used homemade flamethrowers. Once inside Spanish territory, they threw rocks at cars. The European Union continues to try to force member states to take in the mostly Muslim migrants from Africa and the Middle East. But those who have now face soaring welfare costs, crime, and terrorism. Most of the time, Sweden looks like it's functioning normally. But intelligence reports indicate the nation is sitting on a ticking time bomb of Muslim terrorism. A new report says Muslim radicalism in Sweden has increased by 900%. Swedish terrorism expert Magnus Norell says the chickens have come home to roost on Sweden's open-door immigration policy.
My forecast is that unless we deal with this fairly soon, head on, it's going to get from bad to worse, I think.
A report last year compared crime in Sweden to Mexico. And a new study by the European think tank Gafira says the native white Swedish population will be a minority within a maximum of 40 years. This exchange on Britain's Channel 4 underscores the EU's divide over migrants between politically correct Western Europe and nations like Poland and Hungary who do not accept Muslim migrants.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you're asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none, not even one will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal.
You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
This is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we had not even one terrorist attack.
The European Union says it will pay each of its member states 6,000 euros for every migrant they take in. It's a lot of money, but still not enough. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Thanks, Dale. Pat, back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, they're talking about the chickens coming home to roost. They really are. These Muslim radicals, and there are a number of them, and it's not just ordinary, quote, peaceful, loving Muslims, but those who believe the Quran. If you read it carefully, what is in the Quran. I mean, it's a book of war. It is a book that proclaims war, and they have the world divided into two parts. It's the house of peace and the house of war. And everything that is not under Islam is in Dar al, the war party. And so there's a war going on against every single nation, every culture that is not under the domination of Islam. Now, that's the fundamental teaching. So when these people come in, they're going to be at peace until they gain ascendancy. But the whole premise is this Dar al-Islam, which is the world of Islam. And Levy, if you're not under Islam, you're in the world of war. And that's what's happening. And so Poland, God bless them, is on the right course. And it's a tough stand in this political correct environment, but they're doing the right thing.